I'm trying to record a podcast.
Hey everybody, Angela Ardolino with Your Natural Dog, and my guest today is Teri DiMarino, who is a professional dog groomer of over 50 years. She owned and operated her own groom salon for 27 years and is the past president of the California Groomers Professional Association. We're going to talk about the business of grooming. It's a $10 billion industry that's completely unregulated, and it's really hard to find a good, caring, fear-free groomer. So stay tuned so that you can learn, if you need a groomer, how to find a good one. Hey everybody, we're back with Teri DiMarino, and today we're going to talk all about the grooming industry because I'm going to be totally honest with you. I bought a grooming shop in 2016. My reasoning for buying the groom shop was because I could not find a groomer in Tampa, Florida that I trusted with my dogs with. I also ran a rescue farm, so I had lots of old dogs or dogs with issues or problems or cancerous tumors or whatever. And I know you bring in a sick dog into a groomer, they're like, I ain't touching that dog. So I literally was like, I need to figure this out. Why is this so hard for me to find a good groomer? There was always an issue. So I bought a groom shop, and it was a scary one. I'll never ever forget walking into that back room where they have all the cages and the dryers stuck all over the cages where they dry the animals. So I'm sure that this is not anything, Teri, like what you operated, but I'm sure you've seen facilities like this. And what I think was the biggest shocker to me is that it's a completely unregulated industry. It's a $10 billion industry that is completely unregulated. So it's not when you take your dog to the groomer that it is a personal who has necessarily gone through some sort of professional certification or training. Sometimes that's the case, but a lot of times that's not the case. So you've been doing this for how long now? And tell me, how do you think it'll ever change? And do you think that most pet parents know this fact?
Okay, I am in my 52nd year in this industry. And wow. I have been a salon owner. I show dogs. I have run rescues. I have been a mobile groomer, and I still do actively groom in my home. I've got a home-based salon, grooming by invitation only, because I also do a lot of other things in the industry. I'm the president of the California Professional Pet Groomers Association and one of the founding members, and also the treasurer for the World Alliance of Grooming Associations. Awesome. And yes, we have an unregulated industry, but we encourage continued education with groomers. Not all groomers are the same. And I'm going to help you look at the industry from not only the groomer standpoint, but also the consumer standpoint. Okay? Yes, clients have to do their homework with a groomer. They really do. Now, a couple of things you said in your intro that you had sick dogs and some groomers wouldn't take it. That's true. That's absolutely true. We are not doctors.
I want to say in Florida, like PetSmart actually won't take a dog over 9 years old.
Some of them have changed to that, but this is because big corporate stores like PetSmart and Petco, they have deep pockets and bullseyes on their butts, okay? We are not doctors. There are a lot of times the dog needs to be at the vet as opposed to the groomer. And there are many owners that will say, well, he's got a vet appointment tomorrow, but I want him looking nice. No. Let them see how the dog lives on a daily basis. And also, people have a hard time finding a groomer because they salon hop. This is what happens. Now, you have a hairdresser or a nail technician. You got to give them at least 3 tries to get it right. But how many times groomers, a client will go and they'll say, well, I tried this groomer, they didn't do what I want. I tried that groomer, they didn't do what I want. Of course, you're not giving the groomer a chance to learn about your dog, find out what you want, and also you're denying the groomer's ability to form a bond with that dog. They salon hop and they don't think about what's best for the dog. They look at maybe pricing, they look at convenience. Think about the dog, please. Okay,
Please.
this is where it taxes the groomer as well, because then we get these nervous dogs who have not been able to form a bond. I groom a dog. I've been doing him since she picked him up for the rescue. He is a terror at the vet. He is wonderful for me because I was one of the first people to meet him. He had fears. I worked with it. He's fine. I can't imagine if she took him someplace else. He would be branded a maniac. And he's not, because I've had an opportunity to work with this dog. So we can't say all groomers are the same. We really can't. There's a dog for every groomer and a groomer for every dog. Now let's talk about the regulation within the industry. There are some municipalities that do have regulations or ordinances that do regulate their dog industry. It's not an actual licensing. Licensing boards can be very deceiving. Okay? Let me ask you a question, personal question. Do you have a driver's license?
I do.
Have you ever gotten a ticket?
Yes.
Wait a minute. You're a licensed driver. You broke the law. You're not supposed to. You took a test. You studied. You read book. You're supposed to know it all, yet you still managed to get a moving violation ticket, right?
Right.
See, what's going to happen is licensing for drivers doesn't keep a bad driver off the road. You have people that are out there driving that they've lost their licenses. They're still driving. You, as a licensed driver, and myself, I confess, we have broken the law. Okay, so what licensing is not going to do is it's not going to stop a bad groomer. It'll make them adhere to the regulations. But what licensing, or let's take that word licensing and let's use the word regulation instead. What regulations will do is they will give the client a source of accountability. Okay? They will have, right now, there's no place for them to go to say, gee, my dog was injured or something happened. Okay? What a registration will do is it will put things in place, and I'll get back to what can go in place in a minute. But it gives them a source of accountability. But it will also give the groomer an area where they can go for accountability as well to see if the customer really, if the dog was really injured, or if they just didn't like the haircut, which happens a lot. There's the world, the internet is papered with 1-star review because someone didn't like the haircut. All right?
Right.
So there has to be a definitive in between there. Now, a number of years ago, and licensing will be expensive because people don't realize, and I'm in the state of California. I can only speak for California. California already has 177 licensing bureaus. They're not going to put in another one. Because you need a physical address, you need a physical office, you need physical employees. You need people out there in the field doing the work, which usually things like this get thrust on animal control, and they don't want it. So it's complicated. We do, our standard, the California Professional Pet Groomers Association, would be a registry would be good. Because what a registry would do is it would be a simple way of keeping track of the groomers in the area. But it also puts into place in the infrastructure of either the state, the county, or the city, municipality, it puts in place a set of standards of what should and should be followed. So if you have a registered groomer has a complaint against them, it is filed with, say, the municipality or with the state. They say, okay, fine, you broke these rules. We see. Get fined, deal with it with the owner, the likes of that. If the groomer is not registered, they all have to be registered. And I'm saying this because this is already in place in West Hollywood and Beverly Hills and Suffolk County, New York. It's already in place.
Wow.
Already in place. Okay. And what happens if you're not registered? Double slap on the hand and fine because you're not registered. Then you go through the process of saying, gee, was the dog really injured or did you just not like the haircut, Mrs. Smith? One of those things. Now, what goes in place? What would be put in place with legislation? What would be put in place for these registrations to base decisions on? About 10, 12 years ago, a cohesive group of 13 organizations, including all the certification boards, all the corporates, the World Pet, WPA, World Pet Association, PJAC, the Pet Industry Joint Advisory Council, which are now known as Pet Advocacy Network. They are the lobbyists for the pet industry. California Groomers Association, we were pretty much the ground zero for this. We got together and we put together what we call the Standards of Care, Safety, and Sanitation. These are the ideal standards, the way a clean and safe salon should be run. We don't care how you trim top knots. We don't care how you trim eyebrows. Are you running a clean, safe salon? And these bases, this is Standards of Care, Safety, and Sanitation. They can be found on the CPPGA, California Professional Pet Groomers Association website. That's cppga.org. You go to standards. We have it in English and Spanish. Groomers should have this in every one of their employee handbooks, and we're in the process of getting it translated into, probably 6 or 8 different languages right now as we speak. But these standards, they said it's common sense on paper. It's all it is. And the municipalities that are in place that do have a registration in place already have used these snippets from the standards and utilized the standards as an ideal way of running a salon.
That's beautiful. So this is in California though. So this is something that is being done in California. And can a consumer look at these standards and go, okay, these are the standards I should expect from any groomer that I go to anywhere in the United States?
Anywhere in the world, actually, because these are being accepted worldwide. We have a newly formed association called the World Alliance of Grooming Associations, and we're hoping to bring this thought to groomers not only across the United States, because it is our goal to have every state have a state association that they can involve with their groomers, continued education, keep up with the news, but also worldwide. We have New Zealand, we have Belgium, we have Australia just applied. And these are things that we want to keep worldwide because we're one big family. We all do the same thing at the end of the day. We all have the same problems. We all have the same good stuff. So working together is a big part of this. But yeah, speaking just for California, most of the states that have associations, they have adopted these standards of care, safety, and sanitation. So this is not just for California. And once again, it's not law. It is part of the ordinances in specifically Beverly Hills and West Hollywood. But we are reaching out, and it is the World Alliance's job to try to keep a finger on the way legislation is going, because the people that write legislation for pet groomers don't understand what we do. And they are usually...
Pet owners don't understand.
They don't
what pet groomers do.
They're thinking good. There are very, very good intentions, but they're poorly composed. Here's one for you. Right now, we're working in Colorado because they want a groomer to be responsible to make sure that every pet that they serve is microchipped and up on all vaccinations. I'm not a doctor. I'm a hairdresser. Does my hairdresser ask me if I've had my COVID or shingles vaccine? That's none of their business.
Exactly. And this is my opinion, but it is just another way to push the vaccinations and those types of things on something. But that's what people don't understand. Anybody can open up a groom shop. Anybody can call themselves a groomer. They can have no training or experience. You have to do your homework. Your dog can be killed at a bad grooming facility because if they do not have these safety guidelines in place and they don't know what they're doing, they will hurt your dog. So it is, to me, very, very important. Like I said in the beginning, I couldn't find a place in the whole city that I lived in, which was a big place, that I trusted with my dogs. I want to talk about what is popular or what is very common on what happens when you do bring your dog to one of these places where your dog is left for 5 or 6 hours at the groom shop. What's going on? Because I don't think people understand that what they should be asking for, or the way it should occur, is that your dog comes in, you go to the groomer, you have one groomer that's grooming it, you meet that groomer face to face, the groomer inspects your dog and has a conversation with you. And then that groomer is the one that sometimes there's a bather involved. That bather and that groomer work on your dog until it's complete, which should take 3 to 4 hours, correct?
I'm going to back you up just a little bit.
You bet.
Thousands and thousands and thousands of dogs that are groomed safely and successfully throughout the day get overshadowed by the 1 or 2 mistakes. Dogs don't get killed in a salon. That's pretty rough. That's a pretty rough comment. Nobody goes into work today and says, I'm going to kill a dog. Nobody does.
No.
More often than not, it is usually an uneducated, or it is an, okay, can I go outside of this just a moment? Let's talk about Frenchies. Let's talk about brachycephalic breed. Let's talk about bulldogs, that they can overheat just by breathing too heavily. And I know of several salons that have had issues with these dogs. They've come in the salon. The dogs weren't even touched. They call the owner to come and get it. They go to the vet and say the dog was overheated. The dog never even made it to the bathtub.
Oh, I know.
Okay, so these things do happen, and a lot of times they're out of the control of the groomer. How many people bring sick dogs to the salon without telling us there is a problem? And then we wonder why the dog had a heart attack on the pill. Oh, yeah, I forgot to tell you he's got a heart condition. You know, that's why the groomer interviews you as you're going on. Now, as far as the learning capabilities, grooming is something where after a person leaves a school or a training program, it takes that person at least 2 years to become what I consider proficient within the industry. It doesn't happen overnight. We have way too many variables in our industry. Way too many variables. I mean, in a human hair salon or nail salon, the client sits very still. Pretty much you're dealing with the same kind of thing. You get a dog, am I working with a Chihuahua or am I working with a Great Dane? Am I working with Maltese coat or am I working with Poodle coat? There's way, many more variables within the industry. So a couple of years is being kind on saying that's when they're going to be able to make money. And when a good school teaches them, they know what end of the dog bites, they know what end of the clippers cuts. The rest is pretty much up to them with continuing education. And this is where people get confused with certification and licensing. They think licensing and certification are the same things. They're not. Licensing, of course, we've already discussed. Certification, anything that you take a test for and pass that test, you can be considered certified. Okay, that is a certification. So some schools may say that their groomer is certified, but it's certified through the school. They may also just get a certificate of attendance, that they attended a 400-hour class. Grooming school should be minimum of 600 to 800 hours, at least, because a lot of our industry is taught by apprenticeship. It's taught by getting in there, getting their hands dirty. I am self-taught. I never attended a school, but I had the right mentors because I started showing dogs and I got a lot of education and I discovered the seminar side of our industry, the commercial side of our industry. And I said, this is a good thing for me. It's a good thing for my clients because that's what we want to do. And the end product has to be what's good for the dog, what's good for the customer, what's good for the groomer. So we have to serve all three. A lot of pet owners are just looking at pretty much themselves and they price hop. That's another thing. You said, 6 to 8 hours in a salon. The average worldwide that a dog spends in a salon is 3 to 3.5 hours. Mm-hmm. We get a young puppy in, I want it home fast. I get an old dog in, I want that dog home fast, but how much can I push on that dog, having him on the table, not being able to stand? He needs a rest. I need to let him have a little rest. So these are all things that are so, there's one.
I also want to say, if you're going to bring in your doodle that has not been brushed and is covered in mats,
it's going to be naked.
Also going to take, he's either going to have to be shaved, which we hate to do, and or it's going to take us a really long time, which is not good for the dog. It's not good for us. So that's when they take longer too. You mentioned the money and the salon hopping. Yeah, I got rid of that in my salon. I was like, nope, you're booking your next appointment. we got to the point where we were booking 3 months out. You come to your same groomer. We do not rush. We do not, this is who we are. Yeah, it was crazy. But I need pet parents to understand that it's the cheapest and fastest is not what you want.
Good ain't cheap and cheap ain't good. If they are concerned, and people don't understand the concept of minimum wage. They don't understand the concept of running a business, that you do have to make money. One thing I will ask of the pet parents, don't lie. We can tell. We can tell that you don't brush your dog every day, even though you say you do. Your dog will have a nice stripe right down the middle of the back that'll be mat-free. But then when you ask, well, how is he on his legs? And he says, oh, I can't brush his legs. Why? What happens? Well, he nips the brush. If your dog bites, you need to tell us. Can I go legal on that right now, on what happened?
Absolutely.
Okay.
This part makes me so upset, Teri. You literally, I used to say this to people all the time. I'm glad you're going to bring this up. You're literally, one dog bite could ruin their career.
Oh, I've seen groomers with their noses ripped off by small dogs. So just the fact that he's a small dog does not compensate for him. Okay, let's go to, it's called the law of assumed risk. Like a fireman. He's going to be a fireman. He assumes the risk that he's going to get burned one day. As this has carried over to trainers, groomers, and veterinarians specifically. I'm a groomer. I assume I'm going to get bitten one day. But if I ask a client, does your dog bite? And if they say yes, it's on me to say that, yes, I will take that dog, and I am assuming the risk that this dog might tear me up. Or if the dog is a biter and they withhold that information and the dog does damage, the person that dog hurt can sue successfully the owner of that dog for withholding information that could have kept them safe. So these are why, don't lie. We can tell that your dog was not brushed every day. Please think of the dog. This is where everybody thinks of their pocketbooks. They think of their time. Think of the dogs. And I'm going to go here as well. When you purchase a dog, do your research. Please don't get an Irish Wolfhound Poodle mix and think that it's not going to grow hair and it's going to be cheap to groom, because it ain't.
And it's going to shed.
And it's going to, thank you. Another one of the big, the 10 biggest lies in the world, doodles don't shed. They do. That's one of the reasons they mat, because, they're half-shedding breed. What makes you so sure that they're going to get the non-shedding genes? Ain't going to happen.
And you mixed it with another breed, so who the hell knows what the code is now?
This is unfortunate. People do not do their homework when they go for a breed. Why? He's cute. And then they buy into the lies that he doesn't have to get groomed until he's 6 to 8 months old. By that time, the poor dog has missed out on social 101. They're frightened. They don't know what it's like to be worked on by a stranger. They'll say, oh, he's really good at home. But the owner hasn't done anything that they expect the groomer to do. Have you trimmed nails? Have you cleaned his ears? Have you brushed under his armpits? Have you done things? Oh, well, he lets me do anything to him. And then we get this poor dog in there. It needs so much work because it hasn't had anything done. We have to shave it down. What happens is the skin pulls. When you mat up, you get that matting, the skin pulls, and you have sores. Like with cats, and I'll go with cats too. When the skin on the cat pulls, it actually pulls the hair out. This can leave scar tissue where the hair will never grow back in those areas. Mm-hmm. So we need to take a look. The groomer ain't always the bad guy. And when they go to rebook you, I want to see this dog in 4 weeks, people cancel those appointments because they say, oh, he doesn't need a haircut. Of course not. We just want to get the dog in, form that bond, do some sanitaries, go through.
Brush it, because we know you're not doing it.
They cancel the appointments. We see him 6 months later, and the dog has to be naked again. And they get.
I'll never forget COVID.
Oh, COVID was not our friend.
COVID, people didn't go out and get one dog. They got 2 dogs, and then they did not go to a groomer for a year or 2 years. So we had a mess on our hand and completely the dogs had no idea what what it was. Why am I being brought to this place where there's other dogs barking and scared?
Major separation anxiety, conditioning. The owners have separation anxiety and they're terrible to deal with. And I'll tell you what's happening. They're all in the shelters right now.
I know.
They all
It's
went back to
awful.
work.
I hate it.
They couldn't leave the dogs alone at home because they destroyed. You run a daycare, you get the juvenile delinquents that can't be left home alone because they're COVID babies.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
I know. My shop was the shop that took all the dogs nobody else would take.
Oh.
So the bad ones, the sick ones, the whatever. I was that shop.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was amazing to me at how this was such a common practice.
Okay.
And how I was like, this is not happening at my group shop.
And I'm sure that you're properly staffed. The people that do turn away these dogs are the ones that are not properly staffed. I am a one-person groomer right now. Most mobiles are one-person groomer. We're limited with what we can do. I unfortunately just had to release a client that I've been doing since it's a baby.
Aww.
Dog is 15 years old. She's senile. I cannot safely single-hand groom this dog anymore. I said, I have to release you and find a vet that will do this dog. First of all, dog has a myriad of health issues. I've had to release 2 in the last 2 years and broke my heart. Don't think this didn't upset me. I'm friends with these people, but I can't safely do this dog. I need a second set of hands, and people will say, well, I'll help you. Nope. Insurance is not allowing. And if the owner, did you know if the owner gets hurt while helping you with a groom, the groomer is liable because you are the quintessent professional and you're supposed to have everything under control. This is why you see, like in mechanic shop, employees only. My grooming shop, employees only. I don't want anybody that's not on staff back there. Right. And that's a safety issue.
That's why my shop took all the old dogs, because I had 7 full-time groomers and had 3 full-time bathers and then boarding and daycare staff on top of that. And then me, who was trained. I'm a certified cannabis clinician, have been practicing with adaptogens for years. So what I would do was be able to help these dogs stay calm, stay comfortable with all natural, adaptogens that help them calm down, and have that help and take a really long, slow time grooming those dogs.
There's your 5 to 6 hour grooming time. Okay?
Exactly.
People don't understand. Grooming does not come naturally to a pet. Okay, sit a 2-year-old in a barber chair for his first haircut.
Right.
Have fun.
Right.
Try and get it done without hurting the child. And
wash his ears, his butt, it's not the same. We don't trim his nails. We don't have to pluck things out of anywhere. I do want to talk about some things that are always controversial, like to shave or not to shave, which I know we hated it when we had someone come in and would just say, shave the dog. And we knew darn well the dog.
Are you talking double-coated breeds?
Double-coated, and even a dog with short hair that shouldn't be shaved. So some people would take their short hair dog and shave it down so that the pieces would be this small.
And then you have ingrown hairs and pimples.
So yeah, we would just be like, okay, let me try to inform them. But I want to dispel the false information that taking hair off of a dog is going to keep them cool. We heard it every time, and we would just be like this. Smile and nod. Yeah, I just want to shave everything to keep them cool because it's the summer. Let's talk about that a little bit and why that is not the truth.
No, dogs have a completely different radiator system than we do. Completely different. They exhibit their sweating through their tongues and through the pads of their feet. I love getting a dog on the table, and if it's a little bit nervous or something, it leaves little wet paw prints on my table. But this is why brachycephalic breeds are so sensitive to heat, because take a bulldog, for instance, I did like a whole 1 hour seminar on the special needs of short-nosed breeds. But the center within their nasal cavities that helps regulate coolness and heat just in the breathing is microscopic compared to that of, say, a Shepherd or a Doberman or a Poodle. Okay. They can't cool themselves. They cool or warm themselves through radiant. Okay. That's why some dogs will lay down on the tile. That's going to be a radiant cool. Whether they have the hair of a husky or if they're a hairless breed, they're going to be able to get the same radiation. What can happen? And they do that with heat as well, where they'll sit next to a radiator. That's how they keep warm or cold. The hair can be considered, and I am really oversimplifying this. I'll call it an insulating factor. It keeps one temperature in, it keeps other temperatures out for the most part. But of course, that can very easily be overridden. I have 2 standard poodles, one white, one black. You have them both in the sun. It's ideal what we learned. You dress in light colored clothing for summertime. The black dog feels warmer because he hits it in. Some dogs may appear more comfortable when they're in shorter coat because they don't have all that to drag around and the likes of that. And maybe they do get that radiant heat or that radiant coolness, but it doesn't really help do it. And when you go shaving a double-coated breed, okay, let me back up just to one sentence here. The average hair follicles in our head spits out in 1, maybe 2 hairs for each follicle. Dogs are 15 to 20. Of varying degrees. They call them primary or secondary hairs. That translates into undercoat or top coat. Think of a husky. Think of a collie. You have that soft, downy undercoat, but then you've got that weatherproof top coat that keeps them nice and dry. The downy undercoat that keeps them insulated and nice and warm, or preserved from the heat. Yes, when your dog is panting on a hot day, that means he's sweating. Are you sweating too? Check it out. Do you usually write deodorant this morning? But that's all the dog is doing is sweating. Can they become overheated? Absolutely. Just like you would. On these hot days that we're having out here in California, for goodness sake, keep your dog inside, give him water, and don't think that throwing the ball, even though he wants to go, say, no, wrong day.
Right.
But what you do, the shaving of double-coated breeds, because you do have 15 to 20 hairs growing out of each follicle. Each individual hair may be in a different stage of growth, resting, shedding. There are 4 different stages. Not going to get into the technical here, but if you have one of those hairs that is not in the growth state, but it's just kind of hanging there and hasn't gotten into the shedding state yet, if you cut that hair is going to just sit in that close to that dog's skin, cut back until the body decides it wants it to shed out, which could be years.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's why you really want to, that's why it can take years for a dog's coat to grow back. I know people that have shaved double-coated breeds. I did when I lived in Florida. This is what the person wanted. I warned them, and they grow back just fine. Others, not so much. And one common thing, Pomeranians, they get what they call, and unfortunately, I hate the term, groomer alopecia or clipper alopecia, and the hair doesn't grow back. This, honestly, if you were to let the hair go, this dog would have lost its hair eventually anyway. There's something underlying in this dog's health. But honestly, every case Honda I had in my salon, whether I shaved it back or didn't, ended up coming up with this baldness, this alopecia pattern. So, if you want the dog in a shave down, the groomer should warn you. They even make releases now where, hey, you signed this. I warned you. Yes, I warned you.
Yeah, I had releases for everything, man. It's like sign off on the iPad.
Protect ourselves. Well, can you give them a copy of it?
It can be emailed. They had picked something that it would be emailed.
They need to get a copy of it
if they wanted
technically it's a contract. And in order to enforce it, you've got to have a copy of it in their hands. I actually saw one of the standard releases that one of our big companies called the Fuzzy Dog Release, the Matted Dog Release. It was on People's Court one time.
Oh, really? How funny.
Yeah, groomer, the client was wah, shaved my dog, wham, got injured. And the groomer was like, well, she signed this, Judge. And the judge read it and said, you knew your dog was in crummy shape, didn't you? She goes, well, yeah, but I didn't expect to, blah, blah, blah. And she goes, you knew it was a mess. You knew it stood the chance of getting injured. And she dismissed the case, but she did ask the groomer, did you give her a copy of this? So physically make sure that they do have copies. In my career, in my 52-year career, I have only had one person refused to sign it. And 6-month-old Yorkie, little toothpicky legs, wiry little jumping around, poor puppy, not knowing what's going on. And I couldn't tell where the skin started. It was matted so badly. And he said, I'm not signing it. And I said, I'm sorry, I can't do your dog.
I can't do your groom.
And I feel bad for whatever groomer took that dog on next, because that was an accident looking for a place to happen. Guys, sometimes we just can't help it. We can't undo the damage that is done.
And if they can, it takes a long time and a lot of training and retraining for that dog to become comfortable in the situation. All right, I'm going to bring up 2 more controversial things.
Go for it.
Anal glands. Let's talk about expressing anal glands, because let me tell you what, that was something that was very popular at my groom shop, because if they wanted to get the anal glands expressed at the vet office, they had to pay the vet visit and then the cost of it. And then we threw it in with the bath. So sometimes I would say, no, we're not going to do anal gland expression on this dog for reasons. But let's talk about that, because everybody doesn't know how to do them. And someone who doesn't know how to do them shouldn't be touching them.
If you don't know, don't do. It's illegal in several countries to do it. It's illegal in Australia. It's illegal in Canada. It's considered a veterinary practice. Once again, I have 2 standard poodles. My white one has never had them done. I tried doing them when they were younger. A, she didn't like it. B, she's never needed it. My black one, on the other hand, I take them to the vet. I can't get them. Now, I'm an experienced groomer. I can't get them. And if you have to force yourself that much on a dog, that's when you can do damage. But I take him to the vet about every 4 or 5 months to do it, because if I don't, he sits on the corner of my seat and expresses them on my seat. And I'm like, no, Jagger, you pig. But anal glands, if you don't know what you're doing, don't do them. There's no shame in saying we don't do it.
But I'm saying don't trust your groomer. Right. Make sure if your groomer is offering it, do they know what they're doing? They know
what they're doing. More often than not, a lot of them do. I've had 2 Cavalier King Charles clients that both of these dogs ended up having abscess anal glands. I could not get them. Okay? Now here, I'm the quintessence professional. I know when to say stop. You know, if you're trying and the dog objects, stop. If you don't know quite what you're doing, stop. I was trained by a vet, and I was trained correctly. I know when to stop.
And that's exactly the same with me. I was also trained by a vet. Mm-hmm. And yes, I would go to do it. And if it did not happen easily and immediately, I moved on and I stopped. And then would tell the pet owner, nope, didn't get anything. But yes, this is... there are very incredible groomers who I know, groomers who know more than some veterinarians know. But you got to know when you have that type of groomer, because they're not all like that.
Absolutely.
Right? They're not like, it's usually the ones with the wait list. It's usually when you have to wait 3 months to get with them. Those are the good ones. And there is no canceling of your appointment. At my groom shop, I told you we had 3-month wait. I made the rules. You don't brush your dog, you can't come. You cancel your appointment, you're being charged and you're put off, and someone's going to get that spot. We became so popular that we could establish these rules and make our customers follow them, so that we can make sure that the dogs right.
Absolutely, for the benefit of the dog and your employees. Come on, let's remember the people on the other side of the table that make a living doing this. Okay,
that's right.
They have to have a predictable amount of dogs in there. They have to have predictable behavior. They have to have predictable rules from management. So these are things that you really want to see. Anybody, and everybody says, oh, my salon is like my family. Your family has rules. Okay, and this is what we would fully expect from my clients. We had a very, my salon in Florida, we were a 40 dog a day salon. And everybody got kept with the same groomer. Everybody had the same routine. It was a very smooth running salon.
Yep, same. Okay, ear plucking.
You can ask 10 veterinarians their opinion. You're going to get 12 different opinions. Okay, let me back up by saying I do a seminar for professionals called the Bathe Brusher, or Ready, Set, Go, Bathe, Prep, Dry. It is a 6-hour seminar that touches on everything from check-in to the final drying process. We touch on structure, why this dog won't stand. Maybe he can't. We talk about check-in. We talk about matting, dematting. We talk about shampoos. We talk about nails. We talk about ears. And I am encouraging, and many people are encouraging the industry to become more conservative on plucking of ears. I mean, when I was trained old school, but I learned new school. I was trained you got to get every hair out of the dog's ear. And the girl that trained me even said, oh, it's dead hair. I said, no, it's not. It's growing. It is not dead. Okay, there are some dogs that just won't let you do it. And this is where you have to understand every dog is different. Every dog is, I'm going to go back to my own 2 dogs. My white one, I guarantee you if I pluck her ears, I will have a problem. She will exhibit head shaking. She will dig at her ears. She will cause a problem. My black one, I can pluck his brains out and he asks for more. Every dog is different. Okay? When you do it, I encourage the industry to be conservative. Now, one of the ways that I do teach ears, and when people hear this, they say, that's what I do. I got to change. Pluck the ear, put ear cleaner in, then give the dog a bath, and then dry the dog. Okay? Next time you go for a wax job or shave, put alcohol on it. See how it feels. Okay, so you've just plucked the ear. You've got open air follicles there. You're going to put a cleaning solution in there. Stings. You're already restarting an irritation. Then chances are very good you're going to get water. If you're bathing the dog correctly, you're going to get some water in the ear. Let me say, you can get water in a dog's ear. You just got to get it out. And if you're not using that ear cleaner after the bath, you're taking away one of the vehicles that you need in order to dry out that dog's ear properly. The method that I teach is if you're going to pluck, just pluck enough to get the hair out of the ear canal. Just the ear canal, clear the ear canal. Some of these poor dogs have hair that is so tough in there that I do refer to the vet.
Oh, I remember we would get dogs and pull out something this long.
But the ear itself is an L shape. This is the the horizontal canal. That is the basis of chronic issues. We want to concern ourselves with the vertical canal only. And if the vet says have the groomer pluck the ears, if it's one of those thick doodle hairs, say, no, I'm not hurting that dog. I'm not in business to hurt the dog. Have the vet pluck it. And if people say, well, the vet says, I don't hesitate to pick up the phone and call the vet. Hi, did you tell them that?
And you can get a second opinion from another vet if you want.
And then they'll say,
or go for more holistic.
Yeah, we haven't seen that dog in ages.
So right, exactly.
It, okay? Owners lie. Don't tell them the truth. Really, if the vet didn't say that, don't go throwing the vet under the bus. But what you're going to do is I teach pluck the ear, give the bath. Yes, you can. It can happen. But then after the bath, you've given that ear a little bit of a rest during the bathing time now, after having that hair plucked. All right? After the bath, that's when you use your ear cleaner. And then what I encourage people to do is get cotton and put the cotton in the ear and leave it there during the drying process. 2 reasons. Number 1, it's going to help wick up any extra moisture that might have gotten in the ear. Second, it's going to protect the ear and help dull the sound of the dryers. And yep. And now we have a couple of things that we use, and they're very common in the industry, is the happy hoodie, because a lot of dogs, especially older dogs, will have like a panic attack with the sound of the dryer. And this is tough on them, it's tough on the groomer, but I cotton every dog's ears, and it's the responsibility of the last person that had their hands on that dog to make sure the cotton is out. But what that does is it helps to shield the ear from the sound of the dryer, makes the drying process go infinitely easier. And so if you're a client and you open up your dog's ears and you see a cotton ball, it's not the end of the world. Just tell them next time, hey, you left the cotton in, But it's good for the dog because it's also going to help wick up any moisture. Once again, 2 words on ears: clean, dry. That's what you want. Yep. Clean and dry. You don't have to pluck until the cows come home. Just clear out the ear canal a little bit. That's it.
And one of my favorite things that I was able to do is I would get the dogs with the swollen shut, infected ears that I couldn't even touch. And I'd be able to put one of my salves, CBD salves on, let it sit, the pain would go away, and then I would be able to clean them out.
And I tell groomers, if the ear looks sick, don't touch it. And quiz the client. Many times they'll say, well, I have medicine at home. I say, bring it in. And they'll bring in a tube of brand new medicine. I say, it works in the dog, not in the bottle. You got to put it in the dog's ear. Well, I can't remember. Well, then you're always going to have an issue. And also, if there's a really sick looking ear, I will refuse to clean it, because chances are they say, oh, well, he's going to the vet tomorrow. And of course, they'll present the vet with a nice clean ear. And I said, no, groomer did that. Owner didn't do that.
Right.
So if it's sick, don't touch it. We are not doctors. We are on the forefront of your dog's health. We are there to recognize differences. Like, you never notice your own dog getting fat. You need a friend to come over and say, I haven't seen your dog in a while. Dog's getting fat. Okay.
Well, also the groomer is like looking at every inch, crevice, crack, bump, lump. Yeah, we constantly were able to save dogs' lives by going, did you know this lump? Or did you see this, whatever? And we would catch something early.
Yeah, catch it early. Listen to your groomer. If you've got a bond with that groomer, if you have been a good client and gone back to that groomer and you treasure that groomer, you listen to them. When they say, I think your dog needs to go to see a vet, don't wait. Don't wait.
And also, let me also give you a little tip. You need to tip your groomer, and you need to tip your groomer a lot. Even if that groom costs you $350, they're not making that $350. They're usually making about 40 or 50% of that $350, and they still deserve a groom. You would tip. I'm sorry, the tip.
There's a candle right there. One of my clients gave it to me. He said, tip your groomer. She gets bit and doesn't sue you.
That's right. That's right. But it's 20%. I agree. I think it should be 20. If it's $350, $150, $200 groom, it's 20% on top of that as a tip.
We tip our hairdressers. We tip our nail technicians.
And remember, your hairdresser still doesn't have to clean your butt or your ears. So why? Do they get 20%?
No. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
And your groomer doesn't.
Yeah, it's one of those things where people price hop because they don't think of it as the service it is. They don't realize that what we do. I mean, it's a dirty job. Let's call
it a dirty job.
You would walk in.
And it's a hard job.
It's a difficult job. It's a dirty job.
It's exhausting. It's physical.
I'm amazed I'm doing it for 52 years. I can't do what I used to do, but what do I have? I got 2 standard poodles. But these are things that I have invited clients to come and watch their dogs be groomed because I have that ability. And it really depends on the dog. I mean, yeah, I get some of them, nope, this is not going to work. But others, hey, dog's getting old. He should be fine. I want you to stay. They're fascinated.
I had a glass window.
They're fascinated when they see what we do. They say, I had no
They're fascinated when they see their dog be a little asshole, too.
Well, I had a couple, but for the most part, just in general, gee, I had no idea you did that. I had no idea how you did that. I had no idea how you gave a bath. Had no idea how you do nails. Gee, you're fast. I said, 52 years into it, I better be. I better be.
Yep.
But that's the whole thing is I have been accused by owners. I cut the nails and accused of being too fast. You can't win. You just can't win. So it's like, okay, bye. That's it. I'm not using you. You were too fast. I'm not going to stress your dog out anymore. And he already is.
Nope. And I also that's the other thing. I'd walk into the bathroom and there'd be 3 people holding a dog down to do his nails. And I'm like, we're not doing that either. That's not helping anybody either.
Hug.
Huh?
Pug.
No, it was a big,
it takes an army to do pugs. I mean, people say why, but this is once again, those short-nosed people, the special needs of these breeds doesn't just stop with the face.
No.
It's the build. It's the barrel chest. In fact, the CPR for a barrel-chested dog is very different from that of a regular dog.
Yes,
and that's another thing that we do push in the CPPGA is get CPR trained.
Okay, so I love that.
Yeah.
So let's talk about how to recognize a good groomer, because I want people to understand what they should be looking for. And I think that the most important thing that you should do is to do a walkthrough of the entire grooming facility. And if they don't let you, they've got something to hide. So tell us, how does a person know that they have gotten a good groomer?
Good groomer, first of all, if they're busy, don't be angry with them. That's it. Don't trust all reviews. If you see a 1-star review on otherwise good reviews and they shaved my dog, sometimes stuff doesn't happen. It's like a restaurant review. All right. A lot of people that only review when they have something to complain about. Okay.
Exactly.
I would have people say, "Can I see where the dogs are kept?" And I will tell my staff, I will look back there. I'll tell my staff I have a tour coming in.
Yep.
And what that usually means is turn off the dryer and get rid of the, especially when we have a husky back there. I had somebody get angry with me one time because they were blow drying a husky. Of course, we know it looked like it was snowing hair. And they said, "I got hair on me." You wanted the tour, lady. Another problem that I have to say when I would have people come and tour, I said, do not touch the dogs. They still insist on shoving a finger in a crate.
I did give my tours. You want to come in the morning or 3:00 in the afternoon when we're slowing down? You can't come in the middle of when I'm busy. You're going to get in the way. You're going to be in the way. And then, don't touch
the dog. And isn't it interesting that when somebody does come back for a tour, the dogs can be quiet all day long. A stranger comes back there and the dogs are like, "We don't belong here. Get away from my groomer. Get away." Bark, bark, bark. They all start carrying on. And I'll say, I'll go back. "What did you say to that dog? He's really upset." I had an electrical repairman or a telephone guy almost get his face ripped off one time. And I said, "Don't touch or talk to the dogs." And he comes back, "Oh no, I love dogs. I'm okay." And this dog, almost took him out. I said, "What did I tell you?" "Well, that's a nasty dog." I said, "No, you're just a stupid person."
No. Right.
It's very, very different, but I don't have any problem. I think these ordinances that we were talking about earlier, one of the requirements is cameras in the salon. Cameras will show people doing bad things. They also show people doing good things. So,
the cameras. So what happened is I bought my shop, right? So it went from a crappy shop to I redid everything and it became a really fancy shop. So the people that were using the shop were coming in and then would start to take advantage of us. So I put cameras everywhere because they would say, "You hurt my dog. I think they did this or they did that." And I'd be like, "Oh, really?" And then I'd turn the camera around or I'd go, "You were here at what time?" And I literally would pull it up and show the entire video of the groomer giving the dog a groom because it protected me. Mm-hmm. Nope. Nobody cut anything. Nobody did anything. Here's the whole entire thing.
Just fine.
Just fine. And you were happy. Right. The biggest complaint that we got is when the husband, and I know you're going to know what I'm saying, when the husband drops off the dog and we say, what do you want for the groom? And they go, "Do whatever you like. As a matter of fact, I'd like to take some of this hair off." And then the wife comes and picks up the dog and loses her mind. And then I get my 1-star review and I get, whatever. And it was because of a breakdown in communication between the two of them, not us. We did what your husband told us to do, type of thing.
My number one rule, the person dropping off the dog calls the shots on the groom. And I actually almost had to call the police on a husband and wife team in the front one time with an old English sheepdog that was matted, could have saved it. She wanted it long and fluffy. And he said
she wanted it off. And always is that way.
Always. I have fired clients for various reasons.
So have I. So many.
Number one reason I will fire a client if they threaten lawsuit for no reason. Example, had one little dog, great dog, no problem. She'd been coming to us for a while. And as I'm turning and I take the dog back, she says, "And just remember, if anything happens to him, I'm going to sue you." And I just turned around without missing a trick. I'm going to guarantee that that's never going to happen.
Never.
And she was upset. I said, I was only joking. I said, "That word fell out of your mouth. In my 50 some odd years, I have never had a litigation lawsuit. I've always been careful, conscientious. Years ago, there were 3 of us in Sacramento that were working on defeating a very damaging grooming bill. And they asked us, we had collectively, between the 3 of us, we had almost 150 years of experience. Okay.
Wow.
A lot of time on the table there. And a couple of others, well, how often have you been sued? At the same time, we usually none. And they were amazed at that, which tells me the false information that gets out there from owners. They think every dog has a problem. They don't think of the thousands and thousands and thousands of dogs that are groomed daily, safely, nicely. I mean, I love my clients. My dogs come roaring in to see Auntie Teri. And then I've got my other ones that get on the table and shake. My 11-year-old standard poodle is starting to get like that. She just doesn't enjoy the process anymore. I said, you're turning into an old customer dog. Fine. Short haircut. People need to realize and recognize their dog's shortcomings. A 12 to 15-year-old dog is not going to look the same as a younger one. I want to look like my high school graduation picture again. I mean, rest assured, I would love that. Ain't going to happen.
Right.
People have to realize dogs change, and it's not the groomer. I've lost clients because they think my grooming is going downhill when it actually is the dog. You know,
right.
and it breaks your heart.
And to me, as a person who has, old dogs and have been taking care of old dogs most of my life, learning how to groom them so that I don't have to take them and put them through that stress is amazing. Now, are the grooms good? No, but they're comfortable, they're hygienic, they feel good, and the eyes are clean, everything's clean, but I don't have that fancy haircut on them anymore. They don't need it.
They don't need it,
Teri, this was so much fun.
Good. Thank you for keeping that, allowing me the platform for giving a groomer side of it.
No, I couldn't agree with you more. And I just never had anybody that I could talk to that I could literally say all this to and get the right information out. So thank you so much for being an expert in your field and sharing what you know. I know that there's a lot of juicy information that our pet parents heard today that they're going to take away from. Where can they follow you? I'm
usually pretty easy to find. They can contact me through the CPPGA. They could write to me, info@cppga.org. That's a good email address for the association as well. If you want to see the CPPGA website, it is cppga.org. The World Alliance is waga.wildapricot.org. That's the World Alliance. They can go on there and they can see the states on the parent page, on the home page. You can see the states that are already associations. You can check and see where there's a state association. That is going to be geared to the professional because we want, it's our goal to have every state have their association for us to be able to monitor legislation that's happening in other states, like that stupid Colorado one.
What was the Colorado one?
The one that we are responsible for that dog having vaccinations and microchip. I don't vaccinate my dogs anymore. You're a holistic person,
Me
right?
neither.
I run titers.
Nope.
My 11-year-old
Same.
standard has not had a vaccination in 7 years. And she tests up protected every year. My boy, for the first 4 or 5 years of his life, I had to vaccinate every other year because he was low on a couple, would titer up low. Now he's 8. His last 2 or 3 years, he has titered up protected. Rabies, yes, that's legal. If I want to bring my dog to a local private dog park, I have to have Bordetella. Okay? This is not just for other dogs. This is for my dog, But microchips, why is that my responsibility? I have seen rescues sending dogs out without microchips or no microchip information and not altered. My friend found a dog. The dog had a microchip in it. It was intact. She contacted the rescue. The rescue said they got a hold of the person. The person's not that adopted the dog. They're not missing a dog. And this dog still had his cojones. Why did a rescue allow a 6-month-old dog to go out unneutered? That's why we have overpopulation, because we got stupid people. That's it.
Wow.
I ran a Doberman rescue for years down in South Florida. And that's a Doberman Rescue League, still one of the largest ones in the country. And I was one of the founding sources on that. And we had strict rules. And if I had to repo a dog one time from a cop because he wasn't getting it neutered. And I went there, knocked on his door, woke him up. I said, "Hi, I'm taking your dog back," flipped it, and ran. But these are things that if you're going to run a rescue, do due diligence. Do due diligence.
Right. Teri, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thanks for listening to today's episode. Please make sure to leave us a review wherever you're listening from. This is the best way to help pet parents like you find these episodes and get access to all our content. Follow me on Facebook and Instagram at Your Natural Dog and at AngelaArdolino.com.